You are two waffles on a plate, lots of honey syrup. I appreciate you. We're going to go through some moon maths with the Richard Heart ecosystem. I love speaking about this. Why? Because it's so contrarian and the targets are really wide. It does get a bit annoying because you can make a case for 10x, 30, 100, 300. What does it actually mean when we do those numbers? I want you to conceptualize them for me. You are going to interpret this yourself. I just want to tell you, back in the day, Bitcoin was a penny, then $1, then $10. But the market cap and the number of people and the liquidity was small relative to companies in the stock market. So we got that. Let's just agree to that. Today, different story. Today, Bitcoin and crypto are now the sizes of big companies. Not enormous at the very top of S&P 500, but pretty big. And they're going to keep growing. Now, they're not valued like a company in terms of how they move and what price they achieve, but they are the same size. For example, you might value a boat different to a car, but you could get a boat the size of the car. You get the point. If we play with moon maths, and I know you like playing with things, friends, make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, or shock the algorithm, family-friendly show. We're going to speak about what does it actually mean when we pump. Remember, there are no limiting beliefs here. I just want to describe to you the world that happens, the seismic shift that happens at certain prices. And before you start to conceptualize it, market cap also equals MC, also equals liquidity. Okay, so there are people going to say, well, I don't want to listen because you're a market cap guy, or market cap doesn't matter. All right. I can delete the word market cap and I can just use the word liquidity because there's actually a ratio. You know that? It's about 1 to 3% of the market cap for most coins is roughly the liquidity. Most coins. Don't go through the exceptions and go, oh, I found one, but 3,000 other coins, it works. You get the point. So please remember that number. I'm going to prove it to you later on with PulseChain. Or if you want, friends, let's actually do it right now because it's very exciting. So if you go to PulseX.com, you will be able to see the info page for Pulse. And you go on the right-hand side, it says liquidity, $52 million. You see that? Now, that adds the bid and the offer. So the real liquidity for everything attached to Pulse is about $25 to $26 million. If you go to gopulse.com, you can find the non-origin address circulating market cap. It's about $900 million. So what you can actually do, friends, I mean, it's very exciting. We can actually get our calculator and go, wait a minute. There is 26 million liquidity on the bid divided by about 900 million. What's that percentage, friends? Oh my gosh, 2.89%. If only I had a friend named your friend Swami who made it so clear that we're friends, who told me this when I came into crypto from day one. There's the formula. You see that? The average liquidity seems to be about 3%. Now you know why I've made so many videos telling you, look guys, if you go and ask everybody who owns a coin how much value they have stored, and you compare that to how many people can actually exit, it's about 1 in 30 people. But that's not the real answer. Why? Because as coins go down, there are bid buyers usually. So there's more room for them to escape. And unfortunately, people get trapped. So if you were to take an extreme view, if someone wants to click exit and wipe everything, 1 in 30. But you can smooth it out to about 1 in 10. But look, I know it's a bit scary, isn't it? You think, wait a minute, 1 in 10, that's still crap. So 9 out of 10 people are bag holders? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why this game is tough. It's tough. But what else are you going to hold? You're going to hold trash cash that they're printing? You see, that's why everybody wants to be in. That's why the market moves its value up and down. Now, the total Richard Heart ecosystem, roughly 3 billion. Roughly, it fluctuates up, down. Could be 3.5, 2.5, whatever. Just say 3 billion. So you can just go to gopulse.com And you can just add up what's the market cap, you know, here and here. So you can look at Pulse, you got EHEX and PHEX, it's like 1.8, and then you have like 0.9, there's about 2 point, you know, 2.3, 2.4. Price fluctuates. By the time you see this video, price changes, doesn't really matter, okay? You just use 3. If it does a 30x from here, it's valued the same as XRP's 2021 peak. So that's just the metric. Why? Because of the SEC case. That's another case. And look, there's a comment from a gentle friend down the bottom section. Who also says, well, can we compare to another community? Yeah, if you want, we can compare to Cardano. Cardano didn't peak at 90 billion. It peaked at 100 billion. So literally the exact same. By the way, you say, okay, compared to Binance coin. Okay, Binance also peaked at 100 billion market cap. It's weird. People tell me market cap doesn't matter. Yeah. XRP peaked at 90. BNB peaked at 100. Cardano peaked at 100. Funny. Something weird about those round numbers. That was literally the tops. So someone's watching them. Someone big. All right. Now, if the Richard Heart ecosystem did a 30x, so that means Pulse, PulseX, and both hexes, they just moved up and down exactly in line. Don't worry about the ratios. If they just did a flat out 30x, they match about XRP's peak. So this is the market cap pick of XRP. As you can see, it tapped here, exactly 90 billion. But look, just to let you know, friends, crypto is really volatile. This is a weekly chart, okay? The next week, it was down 52%. See that? So it tapped 90 billion. 7 days later, it's back down to 41, 42 billion. Oh my gosh. And then it comes back up and you can get up for like 73 billion. So if you do this, you're about, I'll just be honest, let's use a realistic number. 30%. I'm trying to smooth out what a realistic expectation to get out is. So you are 30% less than your 90 billion. So you can do 70% of your 90. So down to 63 billion. So that's why in my Richard Heart post here, I said, no, you're not going to sell at 90 on the dot. No one is. But the range is 60 to 90. So that would be 20x to 30x if it did that. And once again, that's because, you know, SEC looming on it. It's kind of like, okay, that's how far a coin has gone with the SEC looming. And you might say, okay, take the SEC off. All right, well, now you get BNB, a $1 billion company. What about Cardano? It depends what your limiting belief is. You might say, well, let's just break them all together. Let's go flip Ethereum. You can do that. It's just your odds of success start dropping because nothing's ever been able to do such a feat. Yet, right? Now, PLS at 40 cents. This is a gentleman made a post. He did a lot of fibs. I don't know what he did. He must have did like a 4,000 level fib or something because he's got a target of Pulse to get to 40 cents. And I showed, okay, 40 cents is an 8,000x pump from today. You might say, wait a minute, 8,000x, that's close to 10,000x. We've pumped 10,000x before. I say, yes, we have. Yes, we have. How much weight did we have to carry, though? Different story. Let's continue. If we did a 10,000x, 8,000x, the total valuation is 24 trillion. Once again, people will say, market cap doesn't matter. And I'll say, okay, well, don't worry. I've got some stats for you later on. So just based off market cap, and don't worry, we're going to equate the liquidity in the pool. So don't worry about this number market cap. The top 1,000 sacrifices would all become billionaires. And I know people are going to say, you know, not everyone's going to hold, etc., etc. So there's always those points. Also continuing, the total market cap of Ethereum today is 360 billion. That's today. And if Bitcoin hits $1 million, that's 20 trillion valuation. If it hits 1 million. So, I mean, you think, well, we're never going to hit a million, but you know what I mean? That's what you're saying. You're saying everybody, every government, El Salvador, countries adopting, I'm not making this up. You're going to need a country that adopts, say, HEX or Pulse as a currency if you get this world, right? I'm not saying they will or they won't happen. I'm just telling you what you're playing for. That's exactly what you want to know. For example, if there's a company out there that's making phones, and you say, this phone company is going to do 1,000x. And then I brought the balance sheet out and I said, hello, friend, for it to do 1,000x, it's bigger than Apple. So what you're playing for in the next 5 years is that Apple becomes second place and loses its spot to you. You overtake it. That's what you're playing for. You know, some people will interpret this negatively. They go, oh, you're being a hater, man. No, I'm just telling you what you're playing for. Don't you want to know? Like, okay, you can't just say, okay, the screen's going to go up. Like, okay, but how's the money going to get in there? Like, what are people buying it for? It's because they see a big and brighter future. That's what you're actually playing for. Don't forget, Bitcoin came from nothing, came from a penny. You know, because some people might have said, oh, for Bitcoin to hit $50,000 when it was like $100, they said, well, a country needs to adopt it. It happened. Now, let's go to the juicy part. It's all juicy. You know it's all juicy. Now, if you want 24 trillion market cap, do you remember that number we found? 2 to 3% needing to be liquidity? Well, you need $720 billion of USDC sitting in the liquidity pool. That's how much you need. The total in all of crypto right now is about 120 billion. All the USDC, that's right. All the exchanges, that's USDC, USDT, every single stable coin in crypto. You had 120 billion. All the exchanges, all the DEXs, Ethereum, liquidity pools, everything. That's how much we got. So to get a valuation of what we're talking about, we need 720 billion sitting there, not leaving. Continuing. Right now, what does HEX, PulseX have in the combined pools? It's more than this number now, but I said it was about $10 million in the bids. So obviously there's a giant discrepancy. If you're curious, remember, keep your fluffy slippers on. You can go to app.pulsex.com and go to /info. And on the PulseX website, you can scroll down and just have a look at the liquidity. You can add them up, right? I don't know if they're cross liquidity or what happens here, but I'm sure they're all bonded as well. That's what you might find for the whole ecosystem. Now, I'm not sure if they're all crossed, but you know, you can have 50 plus 20 plus 10. That's 70. That's like 80 million for both of them. You're also going to have the HEX there as well. So that's what it is. You're looking at like 80 million divided by 2. It's about 40 million on the bids. Maybe, I guess, for all three of those coins. Not sure if I did the maths right and they're actually crossed up, but at least you get an idea of like, all right, how much money do I need to see coming in? So why I'm sharing this with you is for this world to play out, we can see the bridges. You need to see $1 billion cross in if you're going to get this number. Even if you get 1,000x, you can divide that number by 8. Right? So you're going to need $100 billion basically coming in. So you think, okay, before it gets to 100 billion in the liquidity pool, I can buy it at 1 billion. Of course, don't do this. I'm just telling you. So you know what I mean? Before it gets to 100 billion, it's got to hit 1 billion. So that could be a target. Well, right now, it's like, you know, 20, 30, 40 million. At the top of the HEX market, I think it had 50 million to 100 million. I made a video on it. I forgot the exact numbers. 50 million to 100 million in the USDC in the liquidity pool, the very, very top of HEX. And that's basically what you're looking at. And then that was extracted by people who just dumped. Of course, this happens in every market. It was all the way up here and then it dumped. So I want to remind you, even with this is what you're playing for. So, you know, like someone says, I want 1,000x, I want 8,000x. Okay, that's cool. This is the world. You turn this many people into billionaires. You need a country to adopt. You got to get this, got to get that. Like, the money's got to come from somewhere. You're watching the bridges. We're going to see, you know, there's a Twitter whale alerts for the bridge. You're going to have to see, okay, we've crossed total 1 billion into the ecosystem. You got to hit these milestones. Once they start being hit, it goes 1 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion. Now you know you're on the way. But you got to get moving first. There is nothing to move. And of course, you know, before launch of PulseChain, when we were around here, many people were saying, well, no, we can move up. We don't need the market to move up. We're decorrelated. That was a kick in the nuts, wasn't it? Because now we've seen we are really correlated. We know we are. I don't think it's even up for debate for anymore. We know as soon as Bitcoin's up, that's it. There's people moving in the ecosystem, Ethereum money moving around. They want to buy HEX. PulseX want to participate, we know we're correlated. So that's just what happens. When you get big enough size, you correlate to Bitcoin. You're attached to the hip, for better or for worse. It's probably for the better, but it is what it is. Now, here are all the websites and the logos. They're great logos. It's still contrarian. It's real DeFi. Isn't it great? You can make a case, friends, for anything. I'm telling you, you're gonna roll a dice, right? It's like I'll tell you, okay, I'm gonna roll a dice. It's gonna be 1. You don't know, right? It could be 1. It could be 1 and then 1. It could be snake eyes. You don't know. But it's good to have an idea of what you're picturing in your mind. I've got a comment from Mr. Corey Meatballs. Corey, a great friend of the channel, a dear friend, saying, then hopefully the clueless community leaders who keep cheerleading a 10,000x for each asset will go into obscurity and stop leading people into a desert without water. So this is one perspective of Corey. You know, basically, Corey's read this and he says, he's like speaking on behalf of everyone and says, to get $700 billion in this liquidity pool is so absurd for a 24-month period of time. Like, we really need you need to do a lot. Okay, that's why, aren't you glad you got a friend who tells you, wow, maybe you should plan for the fact that we might not get that high and you should accumulate as much as you can before it's too late. Also got a lovely comment from Mr. Universe saying, all I know is that Richard Hart is in it for the glory and to the best price performing assets in crypto. So my gut tells me not to underestimate him for some reason. So I'm going to stick to PulseX, and HEX outperforming everything this bull cycle. Great comment, but also a caveat. I said this many times. If the total ecosystem does a 30x before Bitcoin poops the bed, people think, oh, we failed. No, we haven't. Litecoin's only tripled. XRP's probably only tripled. Many other coins have not gone anywhere near remotely close to justifying a 5-year hold. So that's the thing you got to think about. And remember, there's only 70% chance. It's not 100%. Even though, hey, if the 30% chance happens, you don't need to do anything. You've won the game. But what if the 70% chance happens? Okay, so there's also some back and forth here. Mr. Corey Meatball saying, I'm not talking about Richard Hart. Mr. Universe then says, I never said you were. It just sounded like you were doom and gloom over the performance. But look what Mr. Universe says. I want a minimum 250x. You know, we can do with that number here. You know, if 3 billion times, just to let you know, friends, did you notice the words, I want a 250x minimum? Okay. It's too easy, okay? I'm not hoping for that, but minimum 250x. Just think about this, okay? Here's what you also want. Just being honest. Your store of value narrative, it really hurts new onboarders when they see you dropped minus 99.48%. It does. Now, we can all say it's T-shares, it's the yield, this long term. We can say that. I'm just being honest. New people coming in, it doesn't look good to them. Just being you have to be honest. We're going to have a conversation. Is the sky blue? Yes. Is the grass green? Yes. Does minus 99.48% look bad on a chart? Yes. Richard himself is on record saying minus 95% is trash. And then he said, you can't really go more than that. That's like not acceptable. And then we did. Both combined coins did minus 98.2%. So that's why people are saying, wait a minute, how come it was crap before we launched, and now that we launched and we saw that, why is it now acceptable? They're getting no answers. So that's the confusion everybody's going on. Everybody's going through their mind. The market owes us nothing. Now remember, Mr. Universe wants a 250x. That would be a 750 billion valuation. That would be, well, the total altcoins removing stable coins today is 270 billion. So Richard Hart ecosystem has the 3x the total altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum today is 360 billion. So this would be double Ethereum's size today. And remember, it took quite a long time for Ethereum to get to this size, even though it whipped up in that first type of growth scenario. So If you want, this is the market cap, remember, if you want to find the liquidity required, you can do 3%. So you need about $22 billion of liquidity sitting there. Now, are these numbers going to happen or not? Well, remember, we've got to hit the milestones first. So this is the world we're dealing with. And I just encourage everyone to have this conversation. I want to shoot for the prices to go to the moon as well. But before you get your super high expectations, there is steps along the way. And now you know why, friends. We're just going to end as well. Just going to pump the music a bit. So there's a plan. You don't just go 1000x if it's going to happen. You don't go 800x or 500x if it's going to happen. There's a pit stop. There always is. If you put on a log chart, you don't even need to, but you can see, okay, where I'm going to draw the line is there is a fib you can draw. And I've mentioned this many times. So this is just one condition you already know to look for. If we're going to, what I'm going to do is I'm drawing the fib to the bottom of where combined HEX price is. So I'm assuming this is the full HEX chart because the retracement's all that matters. The 61.8% retrace is about 30 cents. You see this zone here? So basically, this now you know. If, here we go, 20 to 30 cents around here. It's actually got to be 25 cents. You got to hit 25 cents. So before Bitcoin hits $60,000, HEX must have hit above 25 cents. That's increasing the probability. The ultra big moonshot extended bull market targets is going to come. So you need to see combined HEX, by the way. Combined HEX has to go up and hit. Remember, it's about like 1.9 cents now, 2 cents. It's got to go like a 10 to 15x next year, pretty much. It's got to come up here. It's probably going to screw around. And then if the bull market's on, zoop, if it has a chance to do that. But it has to get here first. If you go back, look at any coin, no coin comes up only to its 23% or 38.2% retrace, does this, and then as the bull market starts, oh, now we're going up. They don't do that. They die. The only coins that do this are the coins that were 2017 narrative ICOs and they faded into obscurity. So this is what is required to happen. That's why I presented this to Casey. I say, okay, well, we have different worldviews here. 10x, 50x, 100, 8,000x. Okay. Before any of them happen, you got to clear this 25 to 30 cent zone. If you don't, unfortunately, it means they're not strong enough when they're coming into HEX to sustain it back to 2021 prices. Many other coins have been dealing with this. For example, this is the XRP chart. Look at this, friends. This is going to blow your mind. We'll do a monthly chart. XRP, the fib. You draw a fib from 2017 all the way to the bottom. Look at this. It went and it hit exactly the 61% retrace. But when did it hit it, friends? Look at this. By the time it was rallying, Bitcoin had already broken the high. Look at this. Bitcoin was already 60K. So basically, XRP, to get to the high, the big numbers, it needed to be 80 billion market cap here. It needed to be here before Bitcoin broke $20,000, which was here. So here we go, November. You see this? So people thought, oh, XRP was going to hit $10. No, it wasn't. Look how low it was. It was only around this price. As you can see right now, it was only around 65 cents. So XRP needed to be $2. 6x away. Final example now. Now this chart is Litecoin. By the time Bitcoin was already at 40K, Litecoin finally retraces most of the damage, and by the time it's over, it's done. But I want to let you know, there is a chart you can look at. You can look at Cardano to give you some hope. Cardano went from literally nothing, and then in 1 month had this freaking enormous, this is enormous, Feb 2021, wow. 1 month did 800%. Now, I'm too scared. Don't anchor on this, because if you go through all the coins, the top 100, Cardano did it, Doge did it, no one else did it. No one. Even BNB, friends, look at this. BNB, by the time Bitcoin, look at this. Bitcoin was still $9,000 and BNB came back to that 61% retrace. So you can see there's a common theme. Like, yeah, you can spin the lottery and have a go, but the odds are, if you want to go, all right, this is a very high chance, it's super, super, super strong, you know what you've got to do. No questions asked. It's got to get to 25 to 30 cents. Combined HEX has to get there in the next 12 months before Bitcoin breaks that high or around it. That's what you're looking for. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button all. I appreciate you. Catch you soon.